So I didn't make it last night. I didn't make it through the night at the small, not campsite that I made for myself. I was falling down the hill, as one does when one doesn't get to a proper campsite. And I also was just freaking out because I was basically in the middle of the trail and I was like, anybody can come by and murder me. But my mind was just running. And so I didn't make it, and I feel really, really bad about it right now. And I went into town, and I just checked out of the hotel that I checked into last night in Gatlinburg. I made a totally different plan in my head last night when I got to the hotel. I was like, I need to completely change everything I'm doing. But this morning, I just kind of feel like I'm not even close to giving up on my original plan. So we're going to continue to go with that plan, which is to continue to backcountry camp. I just need to make sure I get to the campsite. I didn't anticipate walking a half marathon yesterday, which is what threw me off, to then not get to the campsite in time. And I was just scrambling. And that's what I've learned so far that I don't like about backcountry camping, is like, you need to get there early. So you waste half the day on like getting to your campsite and just to be able to camp outside. I want to be there before dark because it was so insanely scary hiking through the dark yesterday. So I'm really not feeling great about anything, but we'll see how it goes. We're gonna go camp out. So this is White Rocks Overlook in Cumberland Gap National Historical Park, and that's where I would be camping for the night. The whole park is actually split between 3 states, Kentucky, Virginia, and Tennessee. I drove to the ranger's office in Middlesboro, Kentucky to get a permit for the night, and there I received a map, the permit, and a forewarning from the rangers that there'd recently been some bear activity in areas relatively close to the campsite, which freaked me out a whole lot. But the plan was to hike 3 miles to the campsite anyways, and then the 0.8 miles to the Overlook in the morning. And this hike was no joke. It was switchbacks going up and up and up, like never down, just up the whole way. I did not bring enough water, so I was kind of rationing it for myself in order to have enough left for the morning. And I got to the campsite right around dusk. Okay, here's my campsite for the night. I'm going to go ahead and put my headlamp on. Maybe I'll put it on the iPad and that will help it so that you can see me set up camp. I think this is actually gonna work. There's like a beautiful stage light on me. The only downside to this right now is that like when I look around now, it looks darker because the light's in my eye this way. My ground sheet. It's a little acorny tonight, and that's okay. It was not okay, but, you know, I got to work setting up my tent anyways, still believing that once I got inside, I wouldn't be terrified. And I don't know why I tell myself lies like that, but I do. I don't know, there's just something unsettling about being completely alone in the middle of the forest, but at the same time not knowing 100% for sure that you're alone, because theoretically there could be someone else there. Like, sinister or not around you, at least that's where my mind was just constantly going. Like, someone could just get to the campsite really late, and that would still scare the socks off of me. But at this site, you can see it was kind of downhill, and there were lots of ferns and oak trees. The night went pretty much as terribly as the last one, but the catch was that I'd actually gotten to the campsite, which meant that if I had wanted to go back to my car, I would have had to hike over 3 miles back to it in the pitch black darkness, which was a clear no. So I put my brave pants on and I climbed into my tent and proceeded to freak out over every single acorn falling. There were so many that eventually I had to just try to plug my ears. I mentioned the site was kind of downhill, which meant that just like the night before, I was sliding down the length of my tent as soon as I got into my sleeping bag. It just wasn't as pronounced as the night before, so it was doable, but I would not do it again. I didn't fall asleep till after 11 p.m., and then I woke up at 3 a.m. and could not go back to sleep. So as soon as there was any hint of the sunrise, I got up, packed my things, and I hiked and kind of scrambled up the rocks up to White Rocks Overlook. The sun was almost all the way up at that point, and the overlook was breathtaking. At this point, I was in Kentucky looking out over Virginia. So that little town you see that's very quaint down there is in Virginia, but I, on the White Rocks, was in Kentucky. Super cool. I was so glad that I braved the scary night that I'd just done for this, and I stayed up there for like probably an hour and a half to 2 hours just taking it in, because this was probably the first time that I witnessed something on my trip that I'd never dreamed of seeing before. Like, I'd never pictured I'm going to see something like this on my trip. And I had many more times like that to come, but it was just the first time, and I was so in awe that I had hiked all the way up there and I got myself there all on my own. So I was immensely proud, and it's just a great memory. After my time up on the rocks, I spent the next few hours hiking down. When I got down to the parking lot, that's when I took this picture of my car. It looks much nicer back then than it does today. Made it back to the car. I'm gonna eat something, and then I'm headed to Nashville. So the next video will pick up with me camping out in Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you for bearing with me being a novice vlogger through this time. It's been a challenge to get the footage, like kind of the sparse footage that I have from these first few nights outside together and present it in the way that I would really want it to come across. And because of this, I also don't have a lot of ending footage, so I'm just gonna splice in me from now saying thank you for watching and for following me. I really appreciate it. I have a lot of awesome ideas and things to come, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.